All right, Shalom Yasharala. Before we get started, we gonna give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakwadash, and double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone, the teacher and well. Salakia. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Back another video, another lesson. And this is gonna be a response to an article. All right, from the People's Voice. It says EU issued. It says EU issues dire warning to 450 million citizens, stockpile supplies, and prepare for World War III. It says, getting to the article, it says the European Union is teetering on the edge of a precipice. Precipice. The European Union is teetering on the edge of a precipice. Hope I said that right. A precipice, and its leaders know it. Let's look that up. I want to look and see what it means. It says a very steep rock or hill or cliff, especially a tall one. It says on Wednesday, the EU Commission issued a chilling directive. Every citizen must stockpile food, water, and essential supplies to survive at least 72 hours of total disruption. This isn't a drill. It's a grim acknowledgement that war and chaos are no longer distant threats, but looming certainties. The 18-page manifesto, cloaked as a preparedness strategy, reads less like a precaution and more like a battle plan for a continent bracing for impact. It says the document doesn't mince words, and quote, Europe is facing a new reality marred with risk and uncertainty. It declares, painting a dystopian vision of a continent under siege. Russia's aggression isn't a distant rumble anymore. It's a battering ram at the gates. Critical infrastructure is being targeted. Cyber attacks are escalating, and geopolitical tensions are a lit fuse waiting to blow. The EU Commission isn't asking citizens to prepare out of caution. It's a desperate plea to survive the opening salvo of a conflict they see hurtling toward them. It says, and it's not just Russia keeping EU leaders awake at night. Across the Atlantic, Trump's America has turned from ally to antagonist, leaving Europe to pay its own bills. The result? A frantic scramble to arm up, shore up defenses, and ready the population for a world where self-reliance isn't optional. It's the only lifeline left. The EU's survival blueprint is as practical as it is terrifying. Every household must hoard enough supplies to weather 3 days of chaos. Food, water, medicine, blankets, batteries, the works. And quote, in the case of extreme disruptions, the initial period is the most critical, the document warns. Translation, when the bombs drop or the lights go out, you're on your own. Emergency services won't save you. Your neighbors won't share. It says, I'll read it again. The emergency services won't save you. Your neighbors won't share. The EU wants you psychologically steeled for a nightmare where society frays and survival hinges on what's stashed in your basement. All right, and this reminds me of Second Esdras. All right, is that 15 and 16? I think it's 15. Yeah, this is Second Esdras 15 and 14. That reads, it says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." You see that? And that's immediately, these different wars playing out. Civil war. Eventually, World War III is going to happen. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." You know, you gonna start seeing people take to the streets. Then this happening. This already happening in like the eastern countries. A lot of people are rising up. If you read the ninth chapter, I'll just read the first two verses. A second Esdras 9:1. He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. It says, Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, which you're seeing a lot, and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So you're seeing earthquakes and uproars of the people. All right, people are, protesting, whether it's a silent protest or, they angry about something. Right, so let's read it again. Verse 15. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. All right, and the sword, the modern day sword, is the guns, your AKs, your shotguns, your handgun, right? Smith and Wesson. Verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. I'm gonna look at that word sedition real quick, if we can, right? Define sedition. It says
Sedition.
It says conduct or a speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or monarch, and people are going to start rebelling against, the government, real soon. This is gonna make its way to America. It's starting over in the east, but eventually it's gonna make its way to the west. It says, For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Those eventually going to get to a point where they're going to set a martial law. All right, going to have a curfew. All right. If you found, outside that curfew, they're going to probably lock you up and take you to probably to a holding cell, And you're also going to set up checkpoints. It's about to get crazy out here, man. All right. We're about to see, we're about to see chaos in the streets. This is verse 18. It says, For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And they put all this in the movies and TV shows, cartoons. That's their way of telling you what's coming. Watch a Civil War. Leave the world behind. This is a new movie or show called Homestead. I have yet to watch it, but I'll find a way. But they put, watch this new one on Netflix. It's called 0 Day, where the power went out. At one point, a lot of people were dying. They put the stuff in the TV shows, man. All right. It says, For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but like we just read, right? Let's go back. Like we just read here. Salakia. Like we just read here, it says, translation, right? Back up here. Translation, when the bombs drop or the lights go out, you're on your own. When the power grid goes down. Emergency services won't save you. Your neighbors won't share. You see that? Your neighbors won't share. And if you're not sharing, what are they going to do? They're going to invade your crib. They're going to come into your home. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And don't think for a second it's not going to happen in America, because it is. All right? It's going to come at some point. We believe that. Right? So let's go back. It says, the EU wants you psychologically steeled for a nightmare where society frays and several hinges, Salakia, and survival hinges on what's stashed in your basement. This isn't about weathering a storm. It's about enduring the collapse of everything Europe has taken for granted. The commission even wants preparedness drilled into school kids, teaching them to spot disinformation and steel their minds against the propaganda wars already raging. It's a generation being groomed not for peace but for battle. It says, here's the kicker. EU leaders aren't just reacting, they're orchestrating. Germany's updated war plans last June, unveiled by Interior Minister Nancy Faeser, laid bare the bloc's mindset: arm up or be crushed. Ursula von der Leyen, the commission's steely president, doubled down Wednesday, insisting, right, that new realities require a new level of preparedness. But her words drip with more than urgency. They hint at intent. Why else push this hard, this fast, unless they're not just fearing war, but preparing to wage it? The EU's rhetoric screams an inevitability. They're not relying, so like they're not rallying for peace talks or de-escalation. They're stockpiling, militarizing, and conditioning citizens for carnage. The Trump factor only fuels the fire, giving Brussels the perfect excuse to flex its muscles and rally the bloc under a banner of resilience. It's almost as if they're daring Russia or anyone else to make the first move. For the average European, this is a gut punch. Gone are the days of carefree summers and borderless dreams. Now it's canned goods, flashlights, and a crash course in self preservation. The EU 72-hour mandate isn't a suggestion. It's a warning that the first 3 days of hell will decide who lives and who doesn't. And behind it all, leaders in Brussels seem less like reluctant guardians and more like architects of a war they've already accepted as their legacy. So stock up, Europe. Your leaders see the storm coming, and they're ready to ride it no matter the cost. The question is, are you? You know, and that's from the people's voice. War is gonna come. All right, let's get Revelation. Let's start with 9. This is Revelation chapter 9 and verse 12. It says, "One woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter." And that woe, these woes are World War One, World War Two, and World War Three. All right, the first woe came, the second woe came. Now we're on the third woe. That third woe is World War Three, which we're about to see. It says, and I keep reading. The sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before the Most High, saying to the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, "Loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates." And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. What is it talking about? These are talking about missiles, ICBM missiles at that. All right, 200,000 is a million. Well, it's not a million. I think it's 200 million. Let's do the math. I calculated. Let's do 200 times, what's that? It's at 1,000, right? Yeah, 200. That's 200 million. All right, and it's probably more than that. Because this place got to go. America's gonna be totally destroyed. It's gonna be a lake of fire. You see. But let's get Revelation. What's that? 11. Revelation 11. I'll start at 11. It says, "And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them." This is when the elect, all right, of the nation of Israel get beamed up into the chariots, all right, which we'll see when the Lord Yahushua an angel returns. It says, "In the same hour was there a great earthquake. The 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the power of heaven." Verse 14, "The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly." And we about to see that. The third woe coming quickly, man. All right, which is World War III. Let's get Malachi 4:1. It says, for behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord, whose name is Yahweh of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. So it's gonna come a day where when those missiles be shot off, it's gonna come like I always give this example. When you preheat an oven, you preheat it to a certain temperature, it goes off because it's ready to, maybe making some cookies or pizza. You open that oven up, and that heat of the wave of heat just hits you in your face. You're like, damn. Now imagine that a million times more. All right. Let's get Isaiah, what's that, 9? Yeah, 9 and 5. It says, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. You see? So before, when men went out to war, they wear the garment, they have the shield, the spear, or the sword on the hip. They have the helmet, they have the breastplate, their armor, and they'll have war chants. You ready going for war? All right. Now this is about to be with it's still going to be, war, but it's going to escalate to with ICB. It's going to escalate to missiles, It's going to escalate to, a lot of people dying, man, and eventually America, Babylon the Great being destroyed. See? So, I'll get it one more. We read Joel 3, which we always read. Joel 3 and 9 says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. See, because there was at one point, these weak nations, they couldn't. It was one point where some of these nations couldn't even stand up to America, or couldn't even stand up for themselves. They would get overtaken by probably Russia, or I believe China was a superpower, or was it Japan? It was one of those, But the superpowers were America, Russia, I believe Japan, and China. But a lot, because some of these countries, they couldn't even stand up to themselves. Now they got the military power, they got their own weapons. Some are being backed by Russia and these other countries, like Iran, they're being backed up by Russia. All right, and China, that's that BRICS nation. They coming together, and they're about to. Let's finish this out first, then we'll get to that. It says, beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves, and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. All right, because the Lord's about to judge these nations because for what they did to his people, to the children of Israel. It says, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shaphat, which means Yahweh judgment. It says, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Hawashai, is near in the valley of decision. All right, let's get this revelation, because in the article it says that America. Let's go back real quick. Let's see if we can get that. Yeah, it says right here, starting up here, it says, and it's not just Russia keeping EU leaders awake at night across the Atlantic. Trump's America has turned from ally to antagonist. All right, this is Revelation 17 and 16. And the 10 horns, right, which thou sawest upon the beast, which is NATO and the EU. These shall hate the whore, okay, which is America, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For the Most High, Yahweh, have put in their hearts, which your heart is your mind, to fulfill his will, and to agree, and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is the great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. See, so eventually they're going to turn on America. People are starting to hate the whore already. So, World War III is on the way. All right. But before that happens, what has to happen first? A lot of you know should know out there, but those who don't, the mark of the beast has to come first. All right, Jacob's trouble has to come. The mark of the beast has to be made, has to be implemented. All right, and then that's when we know things are gonna start speeding up. The Lord's and he's already getting closer and closer. Each day that goes past, each day that goes by, every second, every minute, every hour, every day, every week, every year, the Lord Yahweh Shai is getting closer, man. So continue to watch and pray. Stay sober out there. All right, we almost out of here, Lord, so we of the elect. So we can give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Wadash, and double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and teach and rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. And the water Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, give spirit to this lesson. Lord, we was edified by it. Till next video, I'm going to say, Shalom.